Hey everyone, how's it going? My name's Joe. Welcome to recap episode number 65, I believe is where we're at. And we're going to be recording Zool, Ninja of the Nth Dimension, Riddick Bow Boxing, Lethal Enforcers, Skyblazer, and Super Solitaire, all released in January of 1994. So let's get started. First game I played in this set was Zool, Ninja of the Nth Dimension. It was a god-awful game. I don't know. The concept of a ninja sounds great, but you can see me rolling save states like wild here. It's colorful. It's weird. You're some alien-looking kind of ninja dude. Everything's a one-hit kill. The graphics weren't stellar. The sprite work wasn't great. The controls were pretty bad. Like, there was a lot of... The whole level was like ice. There was a real momentum to you, and you slid kind of everywhere. The jumps were kind of... I don't know. They felt floatier than you wanted them to be. Your control midair was not great. Just... I didn't care for it. When you got to the later stages, man, I couldn't even figure out how to get past the one stage I got to, the last stage I got to. Like, I'd get to the end of it, and it was clearly the end of it, because you couldn't go anywhere else. And I went backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and never triggered an end condition. I don't know if in my video clip right here I'm talking to people in the chat or what, but I'm leaving the game paused, obviously. Look, it's alright. You're not missing much because it's not a great game. Hard thumbs down for Zool, Ninja of the Nth Dimension. Next up, Riddick Bow Boxing. This is only, I think, the third or fourth boxing game on the Super Nintendo at the time. And I still don't think I've gotten to Super Punch-Out because that's going to be the all-time winner, frankly. We played a George Foreman boxing. And then I think there was at least one other boxing. This one actually played really well. It controlled well. I didn't care for the fact that like your play screen was the third of the screen. What is kind of neat is up in the top center is a boxing ring, and if you hold your L and R buttons, your guys will actually like rotate around the ring for position, which is interesting. Like the faces are a little weird looking, but otherwise the sprites look fine. It controlled well. The sound was fine. Per the usual with sports games, no music. But what was kind of neat is when you finished a fight and took a guy down, you would go to the gym and there would be like 4 or 5 maybe exercises you could choose from. And they changed between fights too. And so like I'm playing my own boxer here. It's a creative boxer. And when you create your guy, you get like power, speed, and stamina. And depending on how high those bars are, the other's lower, and you kind of figure out where you want your stats. And then when you pick an exercise at the gym, it will increase one of those stats or a couple of them. If it increases one, it's usually quite a bit, or it'll increase a couple of them a little bit. But otherwise, the game was actually pretty enjoyable. Like, I had a good time with it. It controlled well enough, and I thought it looked okay. So I think Riddick Bow Boxing is actually a pretty solid sports title. Thumbs up. Next was Lethal Enforcers. This game footage is from the Sega Genesis version of it, not the Super Nintendo version, but it's the same port. They didn't change anything in the game, really. The only big difference is, in this one, when you get shot, there's like a blood splatter on the screen with the bullet hole, whereas in the Super Nintendo one, they removed blood. And then in the Super Nintendo one, there's a stage select at the beginning of the game, which you can select 6 stages. This one does not have that, and as such, Louis and I played this, and we did not get past level 3. It actually wasn't even level 3. It was like the third section of the first level, which is the bank robbery. There are 6 levels, and never got out of it. It doesn't help that one of the 2 light guns I have is off, like by 2 inches. And so when you aim it to the left or the right side of the screen, it's actually like looking off the screen, and so you can't hit anything on the right side of the damn screen, which sucks. But it's hard to get a hold of now. I'm torn on this because I love light gun games. I want to thumbs up it, but I also have to thumbs down it because it is very difficult to get a hold of now. And those guns seem to be much, much pickier than something like the Super Scope or the Menacer, which was infrared. This was just a traditional light gun. And so it's not worth finding. It's not worth buying the guns for. Would I recommend it to a light gun enthusiast? Yes. Would I recommend it to your average gamer? No. Don't seek this out to buy it. There are a lot. The Super Scope games looked better than this, and they were a little more interesting in my opinion. They kind of had brighter colors and everything kind of played a little better. Lethal Enforcers was good for its time, and it's great in an arcade. But if you want to play this game, I think that's where you have to go. You go find it in an arcade somewhere, maybe Galloping Ghost up in Chicago. So thumbs up / down on Lethal Enforcers. Fourth up, Skyblazer. I've been looking forward to this game since I played Hook early in the series here, because I knew that they were built off the same engine. Now, the Skyblazer plays much, much faster. Hook was a very slow game. They hadn't quite figured out the speed that they wanted to do, but Skyblazer totally figured out the speed thing. You can whenever you jump into a wall, you basically attach to it. You can see my guy there grabbing onto it and kind of bobbling around, because it's kind of hard to get that wall climb thing down. I did actually go back and beat this game the next day after I had played this one. It's a fun game. It looks good. It sounds good. It plays well. There were a little bit of control issues as far as like hitboxes and those wall jumps. There's a couple levels where you have to do that wall jump and it kind of sucks. There were a couple different modes of play. So this is on foot level. There's water levels. There's a level where you're basically flying through air currents. There are a couple levels where you actually have like wings and you legit fly. And then there's a couple levels that are kind of like Space Harrier as Super Scaler. You're flying forward. And then those ones you can't actually lose any lives. Those are basically like bonus stages almost, where it's just you trying to collect points for extra lives. The game's pretty generous with the extra lives. It's a good game. A lot of people call this a hidden gem. I don't know that it qualifies as hidden anymore with as many people that do call it that. But I did enjoy it. I think Skyblazer is well worth a play, and a thumbs up for that. Finally, the last game is Super Solitaire. Solitaire, which was on literally any kind of electronics back then, it seems like. It was on every computer, and apparently they ported it to every video game system, because Solitaire. This is going to fall in the same camp as like Clue and Monopoly and Risk. And if you want to play a board game or a card game, go play a board or card game. This is a video game console. We're here to play video games, not board and card games. That said, if you're a Solitaire fan and you really have to get a Solitaire fix on a Super Nintendo, it's not bad. I mean, it's Solitaire. There's like 18 different versions of Solitaire on here. Klondike, Pyramid, Golf, Cruel. And it plays fine. I would rather just physically play it on a table myself. Primarily because if you get really far into a game of Solitaire and then get blocked, you're like, look, if I had just taken like 2 moves back, I'd have been okay. And this game does let you take moves back, but just play it on your table. It's a thumbs down for Super Solitaire. So that's a decent week, actually. Thumbs up for Riddick, and half thumbs up for Lethal Enforcers, and thumbs up for Skyblazer, and then thumbs down for Solitaire and Zool. So not too bad. 3 out of 5 is a pretty good grouping of games for me. So I appreciate you guys watching us here on YouTube, and hope you stick with us as we continue our playthrough. God, so many games. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good night.